One of the least discussed subjects in British public life is the impact that the population explosion has had on our quality of life. I'm not for a moment here discussing a failure of multiculturalism, which many will see happen on the streets of London perhaps this Saturday. No, what I'm talking about here are sheer numbers. And one organisation who've done more than anyone to really try and wake people up to this, and they've been going for over 20 years, is Migration Watch. I'm joined by Dr. Mike Jones, their executive director. Now, Mike, the last set of net migration figures into Britain was 606,000. The next set of figures are due out in about 2 weeks' time. We don't yet know what they're going to be, but you've done some work here and projected what this means for the country if we carry on as we are.
We have indeed. Migration Watch has predicted that if net migration figures continue at the current level until 2046, our population will increase from 67 million to 83 million. That's the best case scenario, depending on birth rates and so on.
Yeah.
This is roughly equivalent to 50 new Birminghams. So in this recent paper, we've taken a snapshot of what 50 new Birminghams looks like in terms of infrastructure. So, you know, you're looking at around 8,000 new roads.
8,000 roads. I mean, that's a lot of roads. Yeah.
You know, more than 2,000 busways, you know, more than 2,000 GP surgeries. You know, you're looking at close to sort of 7,000 new schools. You know, 75 new universities, 75 police stations. This is going to impose a huge burden on infrastructure.
Yeah, we're always told, I've been told for decades, especially by the very clever people at the BBC when they've interviewed me and these sorts, I've been told, but Nigel, you know, people coming into the country and working and paying tax are a net benefit to the economy. But none of those calculations cost in what it's going to really cost the state and what it has cost the state already to build new schools, new roads, new hospitals. No one's ever calculated this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a sort of fancy term in economics. They call it negative externalities.
Do they really?
Yes.
Well, I've learned something today.
So it's basically the burden that population growth imposes on the system as a whole. So obviously some immigration definitely benefits the economy. You know, it greases the wheels, so to speak. You know, limited numbers of legal migrants chosen for their skills and their high human capital. But there's the additional burden on, you know, housing, transport, schools, hospitals, public services and so on. And obviously the state finds it very difficult to catch up, if you like, in terms of building this.
Yeah, because if you're not really in control of it, it's tough to plan future infrastructure because you don't really know how many are going to come. And even now that we've got control, in theory, outside the European Union over migration into Britain, we haven't really, have we?
No, well...
Because if you pass certain criteria, you can come.
Yes.
We're not capping anything.
I mean, one of the promises of Brexit was to take back control. You know, national sovereignty, Parliament taking account for numbers and so on. But what we've seen is a points-based system that actually debases immigration standards in terms of qualifications, salaries.
Because we lowered... We all thought with an Australian-style point system, what it meant was the bar would be raised.
Yes.
But in fact, it's been lowered.
Absolutely, 100%. Obviously, the Conservative Party are committed to reducing illegal immigration. I don't think there's any deception there. They're genuinely committed to it. But on the issue of...
Not doing very well, are they? But anyway, go on.
No. But on the issue of legal migration, that's an intentional political decision. They have actually made choices in terms of policy that will keep the numbers high and actually increase them.
It's almost like their dirty secret, isn't it? They promise an election after election, tens of thousands, tens of thousands, tens of thousands, and they've now given up completely. So what I also find amazing, Mike, you know, your organisation, as I say, you were set up in the early 2000s. There's no statistic or figure you've ever produced that has been said to be wrong. You know, even The Guardian don't criticise your analysis and your figures. They just don't. And yet, apart from Sir Edward Lee, the backbench Conservative member for up in Lincolnshire, I can't think of a single member of Parliament who's even raising this subject about the population explosion. I mean, you don't have much support in Parliament, do you?
Yeah, it's surprising. I mean, this is one really important aspect of migration policy. It's Janus-faced. So the government talk tough, but they deliver more liberal policies than what the public demand. And I think this is going to completely reshape British politics in the future. And certainly I think the Conservative Party are making a rod for their own back on this.